Sucks I won't ever be able to get rid of her, because no matter what, 25 years if I'm lucky, especially after this, I'll be right back on dialysis. And that's another 8 years to wait. But I think those are just realities you have to come to grips with as early on as possible, so that you're not feeling that frustration all the time. You've got to just be really happy and really excited and really take advantage of the time you have now. It's all very weird and very interesting, and it all ends up feeling, in retrospect, very surreal. That was the hospital stay, and the time after ends up getting more traumatizing. Next person on the list, doctor to stop by, was the straight up nephrology people. These people were clueless. Sorry. Now, the straight up nephrology people are just general nephrology. And that's cool. They're coming by, they're like, oh, look at your labs. Oh, those labs are old. Woo, we didn't know. They're fine. They're good. They're doing what they do best. Sorry, I'm such an ass. But after them, really nice people, like youngish guy, older guy, they were all had their own like dynamic. And then the actual transplant team comes in, and it's Dr. Kendrick, and it is the doctor who was on call. I really am sad that I don't remember his name, but Dr. Kendrick's been there since like transplant. So rapport. So I get in there, and Dr. Kendrick's bad bitch. She is totally just cut and dry, to the point. Yo, this is what we're doing. It's how it's gonna go. What are your questions? Let's go. Make them hard. Make me think about it. And I did my best. I mean, she doesn't really say that, but some doctors are just like, they're them telling you or saying, do you have any questions, is just a blanket kind, I'm gonna pretend I care about what you think. Dr. Kendrick knows me, and she knows that doesn't go anywhere. Like that's not, I'm not gonna take it as a nicety. I'm gonna take it as, oh, really? So this lab came up last week, and I'm trying to figure out, is this indicative of what happened here? And after we do this with each one of the plasmapheresis, what are we expecting in the drop of the actual antibodies? And she's like, she breaks it down. After the full course, we're thinking about between 3 to 5. We're expecting it to be 0. So as we continue to take your labs, if it's not trending downward towards close to 0, then we know that your body is still creating them at a rate faster than we can remove them. And we have to think about the additional therapies that are necessary. So, boom, it's never great news, but rather be informed than second guessing or trying to figure out what's happening. UCLA is literally the best, and I will never, ever, ever have an experience that's that good. I'm coming from Massachusetts, where I was at Tufts, I was at MGH, I was at Beth Israel, and I've had issues with them all. Don't doubt or underestimate me being a demanding patient. It's truly a deep-seated flaw. But I've met several doctors who not only dealt with that, but also saw it as me being what I am attempting to do, the first line of defense for my health and the most informed person in the room every time, because it's impossible for every doctor to walk in and know your whole chart. So if I have to repeat myself 1,000 times, if I have to be the one who knows what my latest labs are, I mean, that's what I'm going to do. That's who I'll be. And they've always appreciated it. They've never made me feel like I was trying to overstep my boundaries. They were always super responsive, and they realized that's the personality type, and they were there for it. I'm talking all the doctors. I was incredibly lucky to have caught this kidney rejection episode as early as I had. It just happened to fall into a week that I was getting my bloods or my labs taken that happened to coincide with my yearly checkup when they just happened to do the yearly rounds of trying to find out what are your antibody numbers. And otherwise, I would have not found out till I was actually symptomatic. And those symptoms include things like fever and pain. And that pain is indicative of the destruction of your kidneys for the most part. So I was very lucky to have got it as early as I did. And it was all by coincidence. So to be here, to have had it go the way that it did, was definitely the best case scenario for somebody who has to go through that. And it's incredibly important to always keep that in mind. It's not looking on the bright side, it's being realistic. Another weird, crappy fact, just kind of real life stuff, is that the introduction of antibodies into the body against the kidney doesn't go away. It merely, you try to get the numbers under control. There are no takesy backsies. It's like once the horse is out of the pen, you're done. That sounds dramatic, but your body is now aware of this foreign object. And if your immune system is not consistently suppressed, it will go after it. There are no skipping your meds, there's no forgetting. The full course of treatment included not just those 5 sessions of plasmapheresis, but the most painful and the difficult part were these infusions. Romax, it's similar to a type of chemotherapy drug that is provided. And then we had 2 rounds inpatient of IVIG, and those take about 6 to 8 hours. Do I get into the difficulty that everybody had finding veins? I guess the bruise is somewhat gone. Yeah, the bruise is gone. Covered my whole arm when a charge nurse tried to put in an IV, and though I said no, it hurts. No, don't push it. She continued because she felt like it should flush through. My veins are finicky AF, and they always have been. They're very apparent. Like I may not have had always been this apparent with my veins, but my veins, you could always see them. You could always kind of like feel them. But that IVIG caused, as you can see here, these are my 2 sessions of it, and it caused sclerosis of the vein. Not deep sclerosis, not the type that's uncontrollable. It is induced and short term, but this actually had lumps in it, and that meant that the vein itself was scarred. That's what the term sclerosis, to be sclerosed, is to be scarred. You are pushing through potent, harsh chemicals through your body, and where it first enters the body, it burns, it scars. The one that went in here didn't last, obviously, because the vein was blown. I think I got stuck 4 or 5 times. I think I was stuck maybe 12 times the whole time I was in the hospital. between that type of stuff in the hospital and dialysis, I get a lot of piercings. When they're putting in the IVIG, they give you a couple of doses of what sounds like rudimentary drugs. I think one of them is just Tylenol PM or something like that, like Benadryl. It's Benadryl, and that shit burns. And then you're loopy. You're like, and yeah, maybe I'm a lightweight, but a little Benadryl, and I'm just like, whoa, what's going on? Wow, weird. Suddenly I'm like spilling my coffee and like, it's all very weird and very interesting, and it all ends up feeling, in retrospect, very surreal. That was the hospital stay, and the time after ends up getting more traumatizing. Once I was outpatient, and there were the ups and downs of getting everything scheduled, but you really can't complain in the end. And there were the days when you wished you could have gotten more done, and in those days I threw myself into work, but it's not like my job acknowledged it, and those are the things I probably should have paid more attention to. But I didn't. Here we are. Once outpatient, I went into the doctor every week. I had my labs checked. When my antibodies continued to increase, I ended up having to do another session of the IVIG, increase my prednisone, increase other medications, and I went through to work all through that. The ups and downs with the prednisone was difficult, and dealing with what were probably normal everyday work stuff threw me for an absolute loop. And the frustration of being in that situation and not feeling like I wanted to tell people about it, because I had finally, I believe, moved past being the person who was the kidney patient hire or the disability hire, or look at how diverse we are. I'd worked hard. I'd developed a department. I was positive I was doing this right. I ended up having everything kind of up in the air for a long time, and I still threw myself into my job and was feeling more and more on edge and upset, and felt as though my treatment should be different for the amount of work I put in, especially when those for whom the treatment was different had nothing but negative things to say about their job, nothing but admissions of boredom and appreciating that it's easy, that it's, who cares, it's just a place to spend 40 hours. And I can never be that person. And I'm hoping my reaction wasn't out of that. I hope in retrospect my reaction was because I really felt unappreciated, although unnecessarily made in context. You should feel yourself outside of what's happening around you. But as I can't help but become passionate about anything and everything that I do. It means something to me. I'm learning something. This is a big deal. I plan on performing above and beyond, not for any other reason except that's my personality, and I don't always get that chance to do that. But when I can, I will. There's just no question about it. And then I think, as opposed to getting frustrated, I should have been able to say, oh, well, maybe it's time to take that attitude, stick-to-itiveness, ambition, work ethic, and apply it to you. And that's a hard and selfish decision, for me at least, to make. And it made the process feel so messy and so emotional and so, because nobody can understand what that's like. Nobody could. And maybe I should have taken the time off, but that would have said I was weak. And yo, I got this. I always got this. But what's great, what's amazing, is that one of the first videos I put up on this channel was me talking about how on February 5th, I got the calls from my doctor, I'm going to link it up here, saying, we have not one but two tests that say you're good. It won't be perfect. It might not ever go away 100%. Actually, after talking about this, I have my meds up here in front of me because, girl, you a couple hours late. That's not gonna hurt me. Calm down. I'm on it. But let me take care of that ASAP. So I'm hoping the story was interesting or informative, or at least within context you understand that this situation in particular helped connect me, like the me, with who I am outside of work and who I want to be outside of work, and finding legitimacy and worth outside of other people's acknowledgement of how much you're doing. I wish I could be the person who could just kiss the right ass and they just trust you and they just think, oh, that's great. It would never let you go because I like you. Okay. No, I don't. People don't automatically like me. I'm a little bit aggressive. But I'll use that aggression to make your company the best it can be. It doesn't work, I don't know. Do I try? You can guarantee that much. I'll always try. I think this is also one of the things that Corona gave us. That video, it's coming up next. But I think that's one of the other things that Corona gave us, is that I know I'm now seeing myself outside of work, seeing myself as who I'd like to be, who I want to be going forward. What can I do to make my life the best it can be for me? What brings me closer to my actual goals? I'll try to remember what those actual goals are. I think everyone now goes through that. I think the whole world has stopped spinning in a way that we now have a chance to look at what we truly want to represent. Who do we really want to be? What matters most? We prioritize. So, yeah, it's been an interesting couple of months for me. Not quite sure how to end this one. But if you found this story interesting, entertaining, educational, or give me a like. It's really helpful. I'm not quite sure why I'm doing it yet, but I'm doing it because I feel drawn to it, and it's what I'm going to do. And if you'd like to support, that'd be like super cool, like super cool. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to play dress up like every day of the week. I'm buying more wigs. Why don't I have 50 of these already? Jackie Ina told me. Darcy told me. Kendall told me. These things are amazing. I'm not upset. What am I doing? How do I close this up? If you'd like to see more of this story, subscribe. The next couple of videos are what Corona gave me. And not that I got the virus, but how Corona who is changing things societally on a micro and macro level. Truth, and maybe addressing some of the fears that I feel like a lot of people are feeling. I, once again, come from a really different perspective of perhaps dissatisfaction to some degree. And this slowdown, this pause in the world makes me feel like maybe I can catch up. And then the change that's going to happen in the world, I see it as positive. Maybe we'll drive our cars less. You know, this is another video. Stop. We'll do this later. This has been fun. I think I'm missing a double feature movie night. So this is Cashmere for Cashmere Thoughts from quarantine. In too much makeup and lots of wigs. I'm hoping you enjoyed it. I don't want to link everything below, but I will. I bought it. It's makeup. It's fun. Do I look really old still? That last video, man, the cracks in my foundation were crazy. I think it's alright though. It's looking okay. It's looking okay. I'm way close to this camera though. Like I am here with this camera.